Hey guys, it's AI Lovecraft here. So today, I kind of wanted to talk about the direction we're going to start going with the channel. Obviously, we are running out of public domain Cthulhu mythos. We still got two Lovecraft stories we really want to get out, which is The Shadow Out of Time and in the case of Charles Dexter Ward. Both are great stories. We want to do them, but it is kind of hard to make them YouTube appropriate just because, well, I mean, both stories have some pretty heavy handed stuff from Lovecraft. We're looking into like revived editions of the story to kind of put it up and, hopefully it'll fly on YouTube. It's not the biggest deal if it gets demonetized or something like that, but we'd prefer it if, it wasn't a guideline strike. And, you always skirt that line with Lovecraft. There's a few Robert Bloch stories we want to do. There is one Bloch story we're never going to do, which is Filter Tip. Filter Tip is a short story by Robert Bloch that kind of rotates around a weird love potion obsession kind of thing. And there's no good way to put it. It's creepy. It's a creepy story. You wouldn't want somebody giving your friends love potions. You wouldn't want to be the subject of a love potion. And even though Robert Bloch ends the story on sort of a different note, what some might call horror, the horror is kind of self-induced and it's still creepy. He somehow subverts the expectations of what someone would do with that story and it still comes out creepy. It's almost impressive. Um how he did that. We also have, some Clark Ashton-ness to cover. We have some August Dorless to cover. There's a couple of other contributors to the Cthulhu mythos in the public domain that we can cover. And excitingly, there is some stuff entering the public domain this year, and at the end of the year, and next year too. So that is exciting. We will continue to cover Cthulhu Mythos stories as long as they enter the public domain. The copyrights can always be they can always be renewed. It doesn't always happen with this older stuff, but sometimes it does. So it is a possibility we don't get to cover those. But I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping. We've also done SCP in the past, and we know that SCP is a very small part of our community, and honestly, the videos don't do the best. We're going to keep covering the ones we want to, and probably expand into like the tales more than the SCPs themselves, because I feel like a lot of the magic with SCP has been lost. If I was doing this 5 years ago, it would probably be a little bit better because SCP was a more relative unknown. But now everyone kinda knows it, and I don't know if anyone cares anymore. I don't know. So, SCP content still gonna be coming. There's gonna be a change in format with it. We're gonna switch to this sort of voice model from now on, which does cause some issues with some of the voices, but we're gonna keep working on that and hopefully get somewhere good, get to a good point with that, and be able to kind of go back to the older narrators that we used. Speaking of the voices, YouTube will be implementing a change at some point in the future that is probably going to make it so that I can't use a lot of the voices that we used in the past. That I think is going to be the case unless it ends up in court and somebody can confirm that no, you can totally remix someone's voice with AI and use it. It's a question that I know is a hot button topic, and I'm not going to comment on what I think is the ethical thing at this moment. Besides all of that, we keep weighing whether or not to go back to the back rooms. The back rooms kind of suffers from the same anomaly that SCP does, where it's kind of an oversaturated market. And we don't know if we want to just keep piling on to that market. So we're not 100% sure about that. One thing we are sure about, though, is we do want to start doing something new, which is sort of an exciting project for us. We have two options on the table, and we're probably going to be testing them side by side. One is videos like this covering longer creepypastas and no sleeps that we think are good. A lot of the ones we think are good are older, and it's hard to get in touch with the authors to see if they want to let us narrate them. So instead of narrating the stories, we were going to go ahead and just sort of summarize them. And a lot of them are really good for summarization, I think, because a lot of people don't really want to invest the time into a new No Sleep, a new writer. If I was able to condense a 2 hour, 4 hour No Sleep down into a 30 or 50-minute video, I think that might be an interesting direction to go. And I would love to talk about some of these stories that maybe you haven't read because they're not particularly your interest. So basically, what I'm pitching is long form, no sleep book reports, basically, which is an idea I do enjoy because I did love writing book reports in school. And I think it's an interesting way to approach these sort of lesser known stories. And I say lesser known in that maybe my community doesn't know about them. Maybe my community isn't plugged into the no sleep community. The second option that we are exploring is the idea of rewriting some of the stories in the style and tone of Lovecraft while keeping what makes those stories great in the story. I feel like one area where Lovecraft was lacking was sort of character work, and I think that's something that's more important with the writing of the modern day and was less important during his time of writing. So it is an interesting idea. We're testing it out. We've given the writer two stories to look at. We're going to look over what he comes up with and see what comes out the other end. And we're pretty sure that that's going to be okay from like a YouTube perspective, a copyright perspective, because you're allowed to parody, you're allowed to homage something. It's transformative, and we do believe that it would constitute fair use. We are consulting with somebody on the topic, though, currently, and we'll see where that goes. Now, we do also have other options on the table. We obviously have a plethora of works to pull from. We could do Shakespeare if we wanted. We've had some requests from the community. Some requests from the community are not doable because the work is not public domain. And that's why we haven't been able to fulfill those requests, because I have to be able to do the story without some sort of copyright takedown. The other option is to read the story and interject every minute or so with commentary, and then it's transformative, it's educational. Then I would be able to get away with reading the story. But in this situation, I don't know how possible that's going to be or how well received that's going to be. If it is something that interests you, please do mention it in the comments. I am actually kind of trying to crowdsource that idea because it is something I am open to. I'm not opposed to the idea of speaking over stories. That's not a bad idea. There's also some people on the team who would like to do sort of deep dives into the communities that write stories like SCP. Both have a sort of rise and fall to them in regards to community quality, community rules, and overall story quality. And that is something that we would like to explore, but we're not 100% sure on that. We know with the more emotive voice model, it'll be more fun to do, but we're still not sure if it's to the point where that's a good idea. So, lightning round of what's happening on the channel. Cthulhu Mythos is still coming. We're still going to keep doing that. We are looking into changing up the voice models. We're doing something we're calling voice hybridization, where we're taking voices that we have used and smashing them against other voices to create new voices. So you're going to see a little bit more of that in the future on the channel as well. We're also looking into getting some AI animation going. We've been experimenting with it and just haven't implemented it yet into shorter videos. We do want to increase the quality of our videos in the future. On top of that, we do have some story summarizations coming up for stories that we can't narrate, but we want to go ahead and talk about on the channel. So the way those are going to work is going to be a general summary of the story with certain tidbits that are cool taken out that should qualify as fair use. So we do want to do that. We are also working on a Joshua Graham in the Lands Between. That is a sort of video kind of style that we're going to go with, where we take the character of Joshua Graham and put him into the Lands Between, a sort of like an anime isekai thing. We've been working on that for a while. We've been scripting it for a while, and we're pretty excited about it. That's sort of like a wacky kind of let's play where we're kind of putting Joshua Graham in this sort of fish out of water situation. Or I don't want to get away too much. We have incorporated a lot of different aspects of Cthulhu Mythos into that storytelling, and I do think that's going to be fun. Overall, though, I do want to hear from you. We never expected to have a channel with 2,000 subs, and now that we're thinking about new directions to head in, we want to hear from you. You're the people who got us here. You're the people who view the videos, and your continued viewership means the world to us. Your comments, your suggestions, your participation in community posts has meant the world to us. So if there's an idea here that you particularly like, let us know, because that's going to help us know that that's a direction we should go. If there's an idea you hated, please let us know so we can kind of reevaluate that idea and decide how much time we want to invest into it. Because at the end of the day, this started as a channel for us, and now it's a channel for more than us. And we want you guys to be happy with the content. We want you to want to stick around as we try to move in a more creative direction. With all of that said, thank you again so much for your continued support. Please remember to leave your thoughts and comments below to help us figure out the best direction for you and the audience. Think that's going to be all for today. This is AI Lovecraft, signing off.